Hey everyone, what we're going to do this time is look at a way to check for understanding with your students. I use something called Quizizz. Let's look at it and see how it works. First, you're going to sign up, and I'm going to sign in with my school email account. We can use Google for that. And right here is our home page, and first we're going to look at what type of quizzes you can use. I'm just going to search for let's do transformations. And here are some already made transformation quizzes. You can look at them or put your mouse over them. You can kind of see a snapshot of it over here. Here are all the questions. If you want to look at them even further, like if you can't see what's going on here, you can click on it and go through the questions this way. You will see a grade level for each one of these quizzes. Now, this is set by the creator, so don't think that this is only for 8th grade. You might find some good questions in here for your elementary students and your high school students. It's just what the creator had clicked on. Now, let's say you're going through these and you say, you know what, we're going to go with this one. And here you can look at the questions again, see if you like them all. And if you want to use this one, you can have them play live or assign homework. I do the assign homework for virtual learning so kids can do this at their own time. When you click on assign homework, you can set a due date, a time, and you can assign it to specific classes. And I will show you what that looks like and how to create classes in a minute. Some more settings down here, student attempts. I always like to do 3, 4, or 5 attempts. The main reason for this is that if you limit the number of attempts, students must log in to do the quizzes, meaning that their name would automatically show up. Our school uses Google accounts, so students must log in with their Google account to do the quizzes. That way it auto-populates their name, and I don't have to figure out who Ninja Bump 44 is, but that screen name shows up on my reports. Show answers in game. I put validate only so the kid can see if they got the question right or wrong, but it doesn't tell them what the answer is. That way they can't give the answer to their friend or make note of, oh, the answer was this for this question. Now when I use my next attempt, I know what to click. I just do validate only, and that they cannot see the answers post game. I'm not saying that this is the way you should do it. This is just the way I do it to, one, encourage students to attempt this more than one time if they got some questions wrong. Two, to curb some of the cheating that could happen. Yes, you're not going to eliminate cheating altogether, but this will kind of curb it a little bit because they can't easily find the answers by just going through the assignment one time and then doing it again with the correct answers. Now down here are some other things that you can add. I don't like to put a timer on each question just in case kids need time or they get distracted while the question is up. Leaderboard, same idea. I don't want kids to see, oh, this so-and-so is doing really well, so-and-so is not doing well. I don't want kids to feel embarrassed about that, so I don't put a leaderboard. I do shuffle questions and answer options. That way, my number one will look different from your number one. And when you do get to whatever question I had for number one, then your answer choices won't be the same in the same order as mine. And then you have the redemption question. What this is, if you're going through the assignment and you get a question wrong before the assignment is graded, then you have a chance to redeem yourself and answer that question right then and there instead of having to do the whole assignment over again. I like the idea of redemption questions because then the kid can go back and look at that question and say, oh, I got this one wrong. Now I get to go back and try it again before the assignment is submitted. And then you can do music and memes. You don't really need all that, but I put that there just for whatever reason. Then we click continue. And this is what your report screen looks like when no one has signed in or played it yet, you can then share the link in Google Classroom, Remind, Canvas, Schoology, Microsoft Teams, or Twitter. So you have a lot of options to share your game with the students. This website right now works best with Google Classroom because it can automatically pull all the student names and email addresses and data from Google Classroom. So there's a one or two fewer steps if you already have Google Classroom, but it will work with all of these as well. For whatever reason, if any of those options aren't available to you, you can just have the kids go to this website, joinmyquiz.com, and enter in this code, and they will automatically go to the assignment you created, and their results will appear down here. Let's look at reports of the assignment after a student has completed it. This is my report screen, and you see I have the assignment name over here, the total number of players, the amount of times the game has been played, the accuracy, which of my Google classes have participated in this. Let's look at this one right here. And I can see the students' names. I can see the percentage they have. I can also filter by whatever class I want. I can just go to my third, fourth, or sixth hour, depending on who I really want to zero in on and see how they're doing. I can sort by the score, accuracy, first name, or last name. And this really allows me to see which students are struggling so I can intervene before it's too late. Most of the time when we turn in paper homework, it just sits in my folder or on my desk for a little bit. And by the time I have a chance to look at it and review it, then we're already a couple lessons later in the unit, and fixing these gaps becomes a little bit more difficult. Here, I can just see, oh, this kid down here, they had 7 out of 7. Let's figure out why, and I need to reach out and help him or her. If you want further detail, if you click on the student, you can see up here attempt 1, 2, and 3. And over here, it shows you how long they spent on each question and what they put their answer as. What this allows you to do is it allows you to see if a student is just clicking randomly if it's multiple choice, or entering in random numbers if it's short answer. And then you can address that if it's needed. You can see, oh, all right, the student is just mixing up these two formulas. Now I know what the issue is. I can go address that. Now to create a class, you'd click over here to classes. And what you would want to do is create a class. And we can type in whatever we want. So if I'm just doing this for the video, what courses it is, it doesn't really matter. You can require students to have a guardian's email if you want to make parents aware of the student's progress. It doesn't matter. Create a class, and then students will go, students would go to this link to join the class. And then their name will appear here, like these students appear on my screen now. Now, yeah, if you use Google Classroom, you can just update it with this button right here, and it will auto-populate all your Google Classroom students. So I like that better, but if your school doesn't use Google Classroom, you can still make a class on this. Now, let's say you don't find a Quizizz that gives us the exact types of questions you want to ask. You can always create one. So let's call this Pythagorean theorem and geometry. Now you can create questions, either multiple choice, checkbox, fill in the blank, polar, open-ended, or you can teleport. And what that does is it allows you to pick questions from other people's quizzes. Let's say I like this question, but I really don't like question number 2 or 3 here. I can go down and take question number 4, number 5, and maybe I don't like the rest of these questions, but I want to take some questions from this Quizizz. I can go ahead and do that. So I can create my own assignment based on what other people have publicly shared in their quizzes. So I'm going through and I have some questions. Now I'm done. Here's my 9 questions. Now let's say you want these questions to be short answer instead of multiple choice. If you click on edit, and then up here, you can switch to fill in the blank. The reason I like fill in the blank for some of the questions is because the student can't just randomly click and accidentally get it right. And you can have more than one acceptable answer. Let's say rounding is an issue, and depending on when a student rounded, they could get different answers. You could have those alternatives here, and the question would still be marked correct, and the student would still get the points for it. If you choose open-ended, then the student would actually have to type out an answer, and the program won't automatically check that for you. If it's fill in the blank, then the program can check this for you and tell you and the student if it's right or wrong without the teacher having to review it. When I make a Quizizz, I like a good mix of multiple choice and fill in the blank, because I think it's powerful for the student to have multiple choice questions so they can see if they're doing it correctly or not. Let's say I'm doing this problem number 5 here, and I get an answer that's not one of these at all. I know that I'm not doing things correctly, and I need to go back and figure things out and re-look at the lesson, the notes, and try the problem again. If this was a fill in the blank question and I get 45, well, I'm going to type in 45 and move on thinking that I'm doing this correctly. Now, once you've created your quizzes, you can go over here. Again, for time limits, I like to make everything as long as possible. And then grades, you don't have to add grades, but this is an option to help other teachers. And then right here, where it says public, you can make it public or private. Private means that it's not searchable for anyone else. Public means it is. There are some benefits and drawbacks of this option. If it's public, then any teacher or student can find this Quizizz and see the correct answer. Let's look at this question right here. And if we search Google for it, we have Quizizz, and we could find the same question here. And if I click show answers, if I'm a student, I can do this and I can get the answer to the question without having to do that. So what I do sometimes is I'll edit the question and I'll change the wording up just a little bit, so that way the student can't just copy and paste this to their Google and find the answer that way. Now we'll click done. And our Quizizz is complete. I can assign it for homework. Playing it live works best if you're in person, but we're talking about virtual learning here, so it will probably be better to use the homework option and just do it the same way that we did at the beginning of the video. One of my friends uses this with his children just for extra practice, so don't think that this is only for your classroom. If you have children of your own, you can do something like this and just search for a Quizizz for whatever you want them to be working on. And this is not just math related. You can find non-math topics as well. If we did World War II, here's some World War II quizzes. Now, if I were doing a Quizizz on World War II, I might make my settings a little bit different based off of that. Since you really can't change the wording of some of these questions and still have the same correct answer. I also maybe would not allow them to have multiple opportunities to complete the quizzes if I was teaching history. Another reason why I do multiple opportunities to complete the assignment is because sometimes the internet does fail on students, and if they're right in the middle of it, it will sometimes count that as an attempt. And if you only have them allowed 1 or 2 attempts and their internet freezes, it may lock them out before actually being able to complete it. So this is Quizizz. It's something that I really like to use in my classrooms because students get immediate feedback and I get immediate feedback, and I can really intervene right away if I need to. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.